Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. Let's talk about our weather. Starting out with clouds, even some fog. That is starting to lift, though. A live look over the Charleston Harbor. We do have some heavy rain off our coast, and that's where that activity will stay in association with a slow-moving front. And that's what could allow a few slow-moving storms to develop later this morning into the afternoon. Not a complete washout, but just be aware there may be some downpours nearby. 70s on the map. It is warm and muggy, and as we head throughout our day today, look for those temperatures by lunchtime to be near 80 degrees. Some sun may peek out, but overall we're tracking that rain and storm potential with highs today generally in the low 80s. Now for tonight, temperatures were back into the 70s. A couple of scattered downpours will be around into Monday morning, but a future tracker shows most of the rain should be away from us, but you can see some of that slow movement of the activity by this evening. And into tonight, again, some isolated downpours are possible. More of this activity, though, Monday, and that's in association with what will soon become a melda, and this will change depending on if the system trends a little bit more to the east, but you get the idea. We will be tracking some impacts from it, but a pretty good trend in the models of this morning. So there's Umberto, which is a Category 4 storm. This was once a Category 5 hurricane. This is the dominant storm of the two. We still do not have a tropical storm. We have Tropical Depression 9, but eventually will become a melda. And believe it or not, these storms are a couple hundred miles apart. But this storm right here will actually pull this one to the east before it ever makes it into the southeast in terms of the land areas. So that's pretty remarkable. In fact, latest update from the National Hurricane Center still keeps the wind at around 35 miles per hour. And then indications are because that upper level low over the southeast is weaker, this storm is stronger. Those two features will open up and exit to the right, and that is what this storm is taking. And the continued cone more to the southeast, which would mean at least the less significant impacts as opposed to a direct landfall. So again, tropical models are in pretty good agreement, generally tight agreement actually, to a easterly turn before it ever makes it into our area. And that is good news because we could be talking about far more significant impacts. Now, regardless, even though the center may be several hundred miles to our south, this is still a large enough storm with the flow that heavy rain will get transported into our areas. So again, we will be tracking the potential for heavy rain on Monday and Tuesday. It's not a continuous washout the entire day, but there will be bands of moisture that move on shore, and that could promote some isolated flooding in some spots. Highest totals will be along the coast, but again, there's that easterly pull as we head into Wednesday with some drier air on the backside. Same thing for the European model, which shows there's the actual center of what will become a melda. And then watch as we head into Tuesday afternoon, starts to pull it to the east, and then drier air tries to move in by Wednesday with some sunshine around. So in terms of what to expect, rainfall amounts have decreased significantly with that forecast moving more to the east. Highest totals will be along the coast where we could see several inches of rain. But again, should the guidance continue to trend more to the east, then the rain totals would go down a bit more. But again, we're not going to rule out some isolated flooding. Storm surge not very significant, but we could be talking about some gusty wind with some of that heavy rain around from time to time. So that is why we have first alert weather days up for Monday and Tuesday. So again, don't let your guard down. Even though it is offshore, we're still getting some impacts. But the great news is that not as significant of an impact as if it were to move right over our area and stall out like some of the guidance was showing a few days ago. So 70s certainly in the forecast for Monday and Tuesday. We'll stay in the 70s behind a melda later in the week. Temperatures will be trending a bit cooler with lower humidity. In fact, by the end of the week into the weekend, we'll be tracking low temperatures in the 50s and 60s with high temperatures in the 70s.